Let's bring in our political panel. Ford O'Connell is chairman of the Civic Forum PAC, and Alexis McGill Johnson is the executive director of the American Values Institute. And it's certainly nice to speak with you both. Thanks for coming in on a Saturday. Let me mention a couple of Fox polls that are also just hot off the press. And we asked people if they blame the Obama administration policies for the high gas prices. And as you can see, 52% say no to that. But we also asked if you're happy with the way the president's handling the gas price situation. And 61% of voters said that they disapprove. So, Ford, they're not blaming the president for the gas prices, but they seem to not like the way he's dealing with it.
Absolutely. The perception out on Main Street is that the president could do more. And frankly, if gas prices continue at this high point for a long period of time, it's going to hurt the middle class. And if the gas prices continue even further, it's going to slow consumer spending, and hence it's going to hurt the president because he's pinning his reelection hopes on an economic recovery.
Alexis, I've heard some very smart people say that realistically there is nothing that this president or that any president can do to change the way gas prices are in the short term, at least. But so what? There's an election coming up. Does this president not have to pay attention to the way people perceive him when it comes to these gas prices? How big of a problem is this?
Of course he does, Rick. I mean, I think the challenge is we need to be clear about, and the administration needs to be clear about why we are here. You know, we have impending war in Iran and the Middle East. We have Wall Street speculation that is driving gas prices up, and we have a long-term trend in China and India and other populations that are growing rapidly that will over a long term increase and decrease our ability to continue to depend on big oil. And so I think more than anything, what the president has to do is communicate to the American people that there are no short-term solutions here. We need a big vision on alternative energy, and that's what he's got to do over the next few months.
For the president, as we mentioned at the top, he's off to a couple of very important swing states this week. He's going to Nevada, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Ohio, places where he's going to talk about American-made energy. Is this a sign, the fact that his reelection campaign is sending him off to these various places, that they realize now that they're not really winning on this particular issue?
No, they're not winning. And frankly, you know, the president's got 8,000 executive branch czars. He might want to get himself an oil czar because, frankly, they're getting beaten up on the Keystone Pipeline issue and offshore drilling. And while the world market really sets the price for oil, the president can do more. And that's the perception he's fighting. He's got to show that he can do everything in his power to help ease the middle class suffering with gas prices. And so far, he hasn't done a very good job.
Alexis, what about the Keystone Pipeline project? Environmentalists would go nuts if he were to have an about-face on that and all of a sudden say that maybe he would support it after all. But at the same time, think of all of the independents out there, folks who are scratching their heads wondering why exactly the president isn't showing more support for a project like that could provide some help energy-wise and could create a lot of jobs. What do you think? Is there an opportunity here for the president to maybe sort of shift to the middle here?
Not at all, because I think Keystone, I think what we know about Keystone is the fact that it's going to put more money in the pockets of big oil. It is going to potentially harm, where the American taxpayer is going to bear most of the risks in terms of what could happen with our water supply and the nastiest tar sands in which the pipeline would run through. But even more importantly, it's not going to have any impact on gas prices here, because the Keystone Pipeline is about sending the excess oil overseas. So, I mean,
Alexis, you're completely off base there, because oil is traded on a futures market. Stated future action to help relieve the pressure can actually affect current price. The president's not doing everything he can do. And frankly, even if the oil does go abroad and doesn't stay at home, it increases the world supply, hence the world price goes down. You guys got to get an oil czar. Your economics is all off.
Absolutely not. And I think we do have an oil czar. I think it's in the name of the big oil lobbies that spent nearly $150 million in 2010. I mean, I have no idea what they'll be spending over this year. And the reality is big oil companies are getting $20 billion worth of subsidies at this point. So, you know, I can't see any argument being made that's coming at the expense of the taxpayer that...
Well, what about lifting the offshore drilling moratorium? The president can do more, and that's the perception he's fighting, particularly in Ohio, Florida, Virginia, North Carolina. And if he doesn't beat back this perception, he's going to be pumping his own gas in November because he's going to be out of a job.
Alexis, there's so much focus on the unemployment numbers, but if folks around the country are paying $60, $70 to fill up their gas tank, isn't that the number that the president's re-election hopes are going to be riding on?
I don't think it's the sole number, and I think there is a way to talk about it. I mean, I agree with you. For some of those people I see riding around in SUVs, and I know they're spending $100 every couple days to fill those tanks up. I know it's a real getting them right in their pocketbook. Yeah. But I think the issue is not whether or not the president can do this in a short term. It's really about how he communicates it. We are at the highest level of drilling that we've ever been in the United States over the last 4 years. And I think that really says a lot about what the president and his possibilities are.
On the drilling, Alexis, here's a fact you guys missed. It takes twice as long under the Obama administration to approve new oil leases versus the Bush administration. You guys aren't doing everything you can do, and you're going to pay the price in November
Alexis,
if this continues.
Alexis, you get the last word.
Look, all I can say is we can't do more of the same that the GOP puts forward. We cannot continue to subsidize big oil. We really need to focus on figuring out how to support the taxpayer.
Alexis
this
McGill
is not
Johnson.
About big oil. It's the American people.
Alexis, Ford O'Connell, thank you both. Nice to see you. Come back again soon.
Thanks.
Thanks.
I always pump my own gas. You do too, right?
Yes, I do.
So whatever.